Hey guys, welcome to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com, and I am your host, Nina. And we have a lot to talk about. First of all, forgive the intro, okay? Because I did not make up my mind last time I was here to discuss the show I'm going to discuss now. Whether or not that show was going to be free or on premium. So in the end, I decided to make it free. And I don't remember what kind of intro I gave last time. If I introduced it as premium or free, I do not remember, but it should be available for free. This one will be available for free, even though the opening music is the music that I typically use on the premium show. I just did not feel like digging out that other sound file. So you guys got that music. But if you haven't guessed already, I am back to talk about Motherland, Fort Salem. Listen, I am doing these like half season at a time, and I explained in the first podcast, which should have covered the first 5 episodes of season one, but it only covered like the first two. I explained that so much had happened. Like, I just felt like there was no way I could have spoken about 5 episodes on one podcast. So I decided to break it up. So I'm back to discuss episodes 3 through 5, I believe. Um, and I have my notes structured the same way I had before. Hopefully that was okay for you guys because I really liked it in terms of keeping my thoughts organized while I was watching, and then um, being able to pull those thoughts into a conversation with you guys later. It made it so easy. So hopefully this works for you guys as well. The other thing is I talked briefly about a new tier for Patreon, and I don't remember if I said the dollar amount. So I just want to say disregard that last podcast where I talked about that. Disregard that part if I did say a dollar amount, because I was thinking about it and I think I could do a little bit better um, by listeners. So don't worry, not higher. So don't hold me to that. I just need to do some more figuring. Because that leads me to the final thing I want to say is with that new tier, what that means is people who subscribe at a tier that will be um, a bit higher than what you're paying now, which should be the $10 per month, unless you're one who pays higher for some reason. But if you're paying the $10 per month, nothing will change for you. You'll still get the same content. You're going to get the same podcast. You're probably going to be getting more podcasts than, no, you're definitely going to be getting more podcasts than you were getting over, I want to say, the past 6 months at least. So nothing will change for you. However, if you are someone who decides to bump up to the next tier, which I'm calling time travelers, you're going to have access to the podcast before everybody else. All the podcasts, the premium podcast and the free podcast. You'll have access before everyone else to the vlogs that I'll be doing leading up to my trip to Korea, and obviously journaling my time in Korea this fall. Um, and so you'll get everything a week before premium, and then premium gets everything a few days, like 2 days before free. Okay. So with that said, there are going to be some shows that I'm covering coming up that I'm going to be watching and recording and banking and not publishing them until I'm gone, so that there will still be content. And I'm able to do that two reasons. One, because I'm, as you guys know, I'm not taking classes this summer, so I'm thinking it would just be foolish of me to waste this time and not do this. However, if I'm going to be spending more time podcasting, I need to be bringing in more income, obviously. Um, and so that's where that kind of mid-tier time traveler tier comes in. So it'll help me be able to do that. So I can continuously publish while I'm in Korea without having to take time out from the things I want to accomplish while I'm in Korea, and also my studies, because I will be back in school um, in the fall while I'm in Korea. As a matter of fact, my last semester before getting my degree. So, those are the changes that are coming up. There are a lot of shows being added. The schedule is so pretty, it's so jam packed. I'm so excited. Um, um, Make sure you go check it out. But those are the changes that are coming up. I think they're good changes. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And so if you are not already a premium subscriber, now would be a good time to head over to patreon.com/podcast fandom and sign up to become a subscriber. The the time traveler tier will not be available until August 1st. So just keep that in mind. If you want to sign up and that's the tier you want, just give me a few days to get that set up, and so that you can subscribe at that tier. Okay, so let's talk about these witches, shall we? I can't stand y'all. All right. So, the next three episodes, to complete the first half of season one, are episode 3, A Biddy's Life. And listen, how could I forget? Like, I think I knew this when I recorded the last podcast, but I forgot that I knew it. That those old women that I had asked you guys about in Alder's office were called biddies. And I'm like, because that's like a derogatory name for older women, right? Like, you old biddy. So that's interesting. And again, I don't know enough about real life. I don't know what the correct term would be, pagan culture. Like, I don't know enough to say, oh, okay, that's where even the word comes from and it means, this within that culture. I have no idea, but I just thought it was pretty funny that that's what their names are. So episode 3 is A Biddy's Life. Episode 4 is Hell, Beltane, and episode 5 is Bellwether Season. So there are, like, I can't decide which which of the two things that I really, really want to talk about, I want to talk about first. Like, there are two things that I feel like, holy fucking shit. Because, holy fucking shit. I didn't know it was like that. You know what? Let's just go ahead and talk about the first one. Let me just go ahead and make this the first one, I should say. Uh, uh, they really are encouraging these girls to live their best whole lives, and I'm here for it. They are really encouraging these girls to fuck with abandon, to be attracted to whomever they please, to lay hands on in both the sexy way and other ways, however they please, whoever they want. I am here for this. I love it. 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 I really, I can't, I don't have enough fancy words to say why this is, different in a good way. I don't necessarily want to say like groundbreaking, but um, yeah, I think this is just so good. And it's something that you definitely would and have seen when the roles are mostly, male or all male. Um, Kind of rites of passage before getting married, graduating, starting a new job. It's usually scantily clad women, right? You take them to the strip club, you get them a sex worker. So it's nice to see this kind of flipped. And I don't know, I think it's interesting because recently I was, I don't remember. This might have been for class, for one of my, this last semester, one of the classes I was taking. But I was reading this paper, I think. I don't even think it was like I think it was like an academic paper, about how, like, it's really hard to even say what the female gaze is, because a lot of what people think the female gaze is just the opposite of the male gaze. And it's like, how can it truly be its own thing when it's still a response to the male gaze? And it's also then legitimizing the male gaze as the standard by which other things should be measured and developed, if that makes sense. I hope I explained that correctly. And so, for instance, um, is it really the female gaze if you're just doing the opposite? If you have a movie where the advertising sexually objectifies the male star, um, is that really progress, right? Um, and so this feels a little like that, sure. I'm talking specifically about Beltane. I think I'm saying that right. This holiday upon which they apparently, give in to their emotions and desires, definitely sexually, with men who are young men who are basically groomed to be pleasing to women in general, people in general, but specifically women in romantic nature and in a romantic nature. And so like that part of it is just really interesting to me that these men are and I kind of like joked about it when they first got off the bus and they were going to play like their little rugby game or whatever, and I was like, oh wow, is the whole, I think I even have it in my notes, is the whole purpose of Beltane to just objectify men? Fine, I'm here for it, whatever. But then, as they were, as you we saw them engaging with these men, I was like, they're almost too good to be true. And then I was like, oh my god, is that what their purpose is to like um serve these military women? Like, I kind of dig it. Okay. So anyway, that was like the first thing I want to talk about with the show. I love it. And to piggyback on that, I guess I should say I also like the fact that you rarely see men. And that is something that I was saying leaving episode 2. So it was super funny that episode 3 brings in the boys. I was like, oh, I just got done saying, like, you rarely see men. Um, in one scene in particular, which we're going to talk about, uh, they're like, they were literally just background props. Yeah, I was like flops, plops. Um, all of the above, actually. They were actually just like background props, just standing there, and in a scene in which like two powerful women were talking about uh, matters of life and death, not being hyperbolic, and there were no men in on those decisions, and I just thought that was so great. All right, so you know how we do when we're talking about this much TV. I had to kind of organize this in a way that it's not um, all over the place, hopefully. So, my synopsis for A Biddy's life goes as follows. Ugh, men. There's a spree attack at a pool, and it reveals a male spree. Okay, I have a question about that because it's not until I just read that I realized that hasn't come back up, has it? As of season 1, episode 5, in the beginning of the episode, there's a man watching these elderly folks in a swim exercise class, like a Y or something, like a public pool, and he whispers um, the spell, whatever it is that has been causing people to kill themselves, but this time it affects this elderly gentleman's floaty, like little life vest thingy. Well, what do they call it? Talk about. And then all of the water freezes over, and people are frozen in place trying to escape. People are frozen under the water when they can't come up because the top is frozen over. People are frozen, like I said, trying to escape, like on their way out the door. Wherever there's wet, there was ice. And this guy just gets up and walks away. And I was like, okay, we haven't seen a male spree member yet, I don't think. Was it a female who is made to look like a male? Was it Porter? Like, I remember thinking later in the episode when we see Porter, I was like, wait, is that the guy who did that at the pool? But then I was like, no, I don't think so, especially because Porter was so suspicious of Scylla because he's like, you're a terrorist. Like you was talking some terroristic shit, and I don't. You being here is like a big red flag for me. So I was like, okay, maybe he's not Spree. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've not revisited this thing. Okay. So Beltane brings Witchfather, who I meant to look up who plays him. I guess I can do that while we're talking. And Porter from Scylla's past. And like I said, it turns out Porter is someone who knows about Scylla and her family being murdered by the military for being deserters and just being really, I'm guessing, like anti-government. And he's basically like, you totally would have been at the Capitol on January 6th. So I don't buy that you're here now. What's good? Um, World leaders meet to discuss the spree attacks. And while that's going down, a biddy who is there with Alder falls ill. And this leads to the discovery of how Alder keeps her uh, young looks. Scylla silences poor Porter by using a spell on him. The spell, I'm guessing, the spree spell that causes people to harm themselves. And he immediately jumps off of a roof in front of Raelle, who's just walking by minding her damn business. And she rushes to use her power to save him, and it doesn't work. So the highlights of this episode, like I said, my first one was is Beltane an excuse to objectify men? I like it. It was basically like sold as like a health and wellness retreat, especially because there were some who were thinking that they shouldn't hold it, considering everything that's going on, considering these terrorist attacks. And the argument being the same argument we saw with COVID and other things where, you know, for political reasons, typically financial reasons, people who hold the power really need to push and sell the idea that everything is fine, that life goes on, that everything is normal. And so, whether that's true or not, whether that will make the situation worse in the long run or not, doesn't matter. It's really about, the optics of it all. And I think we're seeing that with the Olympics right now. And definitely here with this Beltane, where, um, folks were worried that it, appearances, but also that the spree could try something. So my first notes about the biddies was like, oh, so they're like the Queen's Guard, right? There are these elderly women that give counsel to, and I'm assuming, spiritual protection to Alder. But then later, when the biddy falls ill and it's clear that she's going to die, they have to rush home, and they're like, we've already found a candidate. And so, under world building for this episode, it's really interesting that before the biddy even fell ill, you guys, and I swear I had no reason to try to like document this to prove what I'm saying because I didn't realize it at the time. But I promise you guys, before that biddy fell ill, I actually wrote under world building as a joke, please don't be taking life forces. Ha ha. Oh my God, this bitch is taking life forces, y'all. I want to bring up something into, again, we're under world building, so it's going to phase like into the talking about the next episode. But for now, one thing I wrote down that is not in this episode, it was something from a prior episode, I think episode 2, that I forgot to mention, was I don't think I'm saying the right word. I think the name for these children is, I'm pulling what they call them in the Mandalorian lore, which is foundlings. I don't think these are foundlings. I think this show calls them like sproutlings or some shit, but it's like, basically it feels like they're orphans. And we learn that Quartermain was one as well. And we see how far she's risen in the ranks. So I want to know more about those babies. Like, where are they getting the little babies from? Is Tally a knower? Because there's an exercise in which like they have to like try to see through or around things, and she's able to see around what looks like punching bags or some sort, or sandbags, where there are different flags raised behind them, and their flags are different colors. And so like she's even says, like, before she does it, like, should we let other people take a turn? And and Abigail's like, fuck them, you know. And so she's like, blue, red, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Is that like, is that telling us that she's best suited as a knower? And then Abigail, I'm guessing, would be a blaster, and then Rael would be a fixer, I think. um and then I have, Lord, she is taking their life force. Oh Lord, I don't know, the optics of that little black girl giving her all her melanin and stuff. I don't like it. I don't like it, y'all. I don't. Don't sit right in my spirit. And I'm just like, okay, that's what we doing. That's what we doing. It's bananas, if you know what I mean. So anyway, episode 4, Hell Beltane. Again, I hope I'm saying Beltane right. Synopsis for this one was, Abigail's mom is the head of intelligence. How the fuck did I not piece that together before this episode? I was like, is that Abigail's mom getting all lippy? Because she does get a little lippy with Alder at one point. And I swear it was like in the last episode, episode 3. I was like, I feel like a coup is a cooing. And I actually was like singing that. And at one point in the episode, I was like, a coup is a cooing. I don't know why I sang it. I did. But I was like, there's just, between that and homegirl whose daughter died on that mission in Kiev. Anyway, so Petra, that is Abigail's mom. She suspects there may be a spree on campus, and she meets Rael for the first time. Rael's power reveals the truth about what happened to Porter, but Scylla successfully gaslights her, as well as scrambles to cover her ass when the witches are going to use a spell to get Porter to come back from the life. Leave the life alone, Porter. Go to the light. Return from the dead, bring him back to life so that he can talk about his final moments, which would be how Scylla whispered in his ear some shit that made him go jump off the roof. So my question and highlights for this episode is, what happened with the mirror check? There was a part of this episode where Quartermain and Petra and others were going around checking all the mirrors because they couldn't be sure that Porter wasn't coerced into killing himself, right? So they did that, but I don't know what came of it. I don't remember if they said, oh, we didn't find anything or whatever, because again, apparently they know that a trace is left when this is used. And yeah, I'm not sure what came of that mirror check. So yeah. And then Scylla is attacked for fucking up. At the end of the episode, she is attacked by one of her own spree who had changed their appearance to look like Rael, and was basically like, we told you to get her for us, not for you. We didn't send you here to fall in love, get a little girlfriend. Find your soulmate. That's not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do was bring her ass to us. And now the fact that they literally specifically want Rael is making me think that it's her mom, right? Her mom's still alive, right? Don't tell me. Anyway, so they're like, you need to get your ass invited to that Bellwether. Bellwether, is that her? Why am I suddenly forgetting this girl's name? You need to get your Bellwether, yeah. You need to get your ass invited to that Bellwether wedding. She's like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? World building. Petra asks Alder in this episode about the Tarum cell found in Asia, And she's like, how do you know that? And she's like, I got friends at The Hague too. And she's like, well, you just remember who's in charge. And it was just really weird, like dick measuring shit going on. Um, and yeah, this is before I realized that this was Petra's mom. I just have the head of intelligence asked about. Anyway, the it's interesting that the guys here, the guys from the other place, or are they from another school? I don't remember. Um, but they gift the girls these sprouses, and I was like, "What the fuck is a sprouse?" And I realized, oh, it's like the whips. So I think that's just funny. They're like, "Here, I'm whipped for you. Get it?" Like, okay. Anyway, um, so then they had to do this thing called the reel, and this is what I have in my notes. The reel was goofy, but it worked because everyone was good. It literally turned into High School Musical, and I kind of didn't appreciate it at first because that's not my jam. It's not my jam at all. And I was watching this, and they were suddenly just pushing this non-jam in my face, and I was like, mm-mm, if they start singing, I'm seriously out. Also, sorry, my AC just kicked on. You probably hear it. I'm not turning it off because it's hot. So, yeah, this real dance, this was a little rags to riches, a little High School Musical, a little glee, a little gleeful, glee-ish. Which is fine, which is fine. But, it shouldn't have worked. It really shouldn't have, but it did. It worked because it was good. Like, everyone dancing like looked good doing it. They looked like they trained for this. And like it was some people were like actors that we've seen in scenes leading up to this, like talking and acting, and they have like Libba, I think that's her name. Like there were people like her who were so good. I was like, oh, she must be a dancer. Like they must have cast all of these people, all the speaking roles just for this moment because everybody looks like they're, this is what they do. So, yeah, that was interesting. Um, and then everyone fucks, including Tally, who loses her virginity to Gertrum, I forget his name. He's super, super cute, but I totally didn't trust his ass, and for good reason. Um, Abigail gets two dudes, and I love her so much for that. I love that for her. I love the fact that, like, when they're saying goodbye to the guys, like, they have 10 minutes to report to, like, training. Abigail's already there. Like, she didn't even go to the buses to say goodbye to her two booties. She was just like, I got what I needed. Now I'm about to fuck this up. And that's exactly what she did. Libba did it too. And so, anyway, I thought that was cool. All right, let's talk about episode 5, Bellwether Season. Synopsis. The unit, again being the Bellwether unit, attends a Bellwether wedding. Tally gets her heart broken. Abigail gets a lesson in her privilege. And the spree attack the wedding. So, highlights and questions. What the fuck are these marriage contracts? 5 years? I don't understand. Is it something like, because, okay, so Tally's boyfriend, when they made the announcement, they said the spring before, he and his fiance had gone on like a test run. So it sounds like there's something where, I don't know, they do something where they commit to spending some time together to even just see if it's something they want to do, and then they can make the decision to do the ceremony, the commitment, the 5-year thing. So apparently they did some sort of test run, and then even after meeting Abigail at Beltane, he was still like, okay, I'm going to marry homegirl. So it's like 5 years, and that is what's happening with Charvel. Fuck, why? Charvel, I think is her name. The Bellwether cousin, Abigail's cousin, is agreeing to this 5-year union with this man. And when they announced Tally's boyfriend, they said something like they made the decision based on like health reasons or issues or something like that. And I'm like, is this like some fucking like genetic, like master race, pure blood, fucking magic people bullshit? Like, is this like, oh, your blood is this pure and your blood is this. And so for 5 years, we try to make some babies. Like, we commit to tying our families together. Like, and and we can divorce after the 5 years. Like, and then maybe I'll do a benefit, like, I'll marry somebody else so that we can do, like, I don't know, a financial benefit. I don't fucking know. It's just weird. It's weird. And I have questions. I have questions, especially because in terms of world building, I'm skipping ahead. I will go back to my highlights and questions. I usually end on world building, but I'm gonna. This ties into it. I have questions because at some point in this episode, when talking about the wedding, when trying to get Raelle to agree to bring her ass to the wedding, who, Raelle didn't want to go because she's like, look, I'm from country. My ass is country, and you know that. I don't want to go. What do they call them? High Atlantic bitches. Anyway, um, under world building, yeah. When Abigail is like, my mother and all my fathers will be there. I was like, what? Oh, Petra, queen. How many you got, Petra? Maybe this shit ain't so weird after all. Listen. So anyway, I'm about to say too much. Garrett, that's his name. That is Tally's no good boyfriend. So like I said, a coup is a cooing. I actually have that in my notes. Because we see at this wedding, Petra at the reception, Petra is talking to homegirl who lost her daughter, and they're both like, sis, meaning Alder, should have done something about this spree long ago. Don't know what the fuck she's waiting for. And listen, I gotta say, I agree with them. I don't quite understand yet what the holdup is. Is it just simply that they are not strong enough? Because they are rushing these girls through training. They already said that. They're like, shit, we're not supposed to learn this till year 3, 2. It's week 6. You got us making missiles out of nothing. Like, what? So, like, why? Is it simply just that they don't have, that they can't, that so far the spree is just too much for them? Or is there something else going on here? Raelle calls herself confronting Petra in front of her colleagues and shit. She was like, you knew my mom. And she was like, yeah, I did. And I'm sorry she's dead. She was amazing. Here, let me hug you. And what Raelle gonna say? She's just like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry she's dead too. Bye. It's like, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for that conversation. But while Tally is in the bathroom crying over that no good motherfucker, she overhears Scylla, who invited herself to the wedding. That was some bold ass shit, and I cannot believe Abigail didn't turn that heifer into a frog. Like, how you just, like, she didn't even say, like, she didn't even try to come up with an excuse. Because they were like, if you don't have sis at the spot on the beach at 6 o'clock, you're dead. So she was like, fuck it, I'm just showing up at this wedding. Because I guess really she ain't got shit to lose. She So, but anyway, Tally overhears Scylla talking to her balloon boss in the mirror, and she tells Quartermain, but before they could do anything about it, balloons descend upon this really nice, like, estate where this wedding is taking place. And so, like, the elder women there, like Petra and homegirl who lost her daughter. I'm totally gonna get her name next time. And like the dean of the school, like, and the mother of the bride, like, they just do their shrieking shit, like, to like make like a fucking tornado or something. I don't know, to get rid of the balloons. But it's weird because there's like so many injuries later. I'm like, why? What happened? Did y'all not know how to direct your tornadoes? Like, why did it take so long for you guys to redirect those balloons? Also, did those balloons pop somewhere else and infect other people? Or was that just a distraction? Did the spree just release some innocent ass blue balloons so that y'all could focus on that and not on what was going on upstairs, which is the fact that Abigail's delightful cousin Charvel, I totally forgot her name, is murdered. Now, I'm assuming this is spree, but why? I guess. I don't know. Like, was the union targeted? Like, is there a reason that they just didn't want, like, maybe somebody else didn't want this union to take place, so you disguise it as a spree attack? Or is it the spree and this is an attack on the Bellwether family? And I don't know, but it's sad because they damn near decapitated that woman, and I can't believe they showed what they showed. Abigail finds her cousin's body and then is attacked herself. And then we get this amazing scene where Petra leaves from helping the women with the tornado to find Abigail, and she finds her about to get her throat slit. And the mother and daughter take on the two assassins and whip their asses. At one point, Abigail's just fucking shanking motherfuckers like. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Um, and in the confusion, like fucking Scylla disappears. I think it's so funny at the end too because like Abigail comes up, she's all busted up and shit. Like her mom had to heal her. She got stabbed. Like she purposely like took the knife so that she could like literally take the knife and use it on her opponent. But she comes out and she looks like she almost died. And Tally's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And she's like, "It's Charvel. She's she's dead." And fucking Rael was like, "Scylla's gone too." And I was like, literally, no one cares but you. But we do learn that Scylla does supposedly love Rael because she was supposed to have her out of there at 6 because they weren't supposed to be there. And so I don't know if this was again like part of a distraction too, a way to help Scylla get her out of there, to get Rael out of there. But she decides to stay and dance with Rael, who's feeling some kind of way about her encounter with Petra. And so, in doing so, proving that she's willing to do whatever, for Rael and not turn Rael over, even if that means that she could very well die. These people are going to kill her. So, I guess that's something. I guess. Anyway, so shit has really picked up in this show. I'm excited to see what happens next. Next week, I will have the next 5 episodes. I may break that up as well. I don't know. It depends, man. It depends. If it keeps being this good, then yeah, I may have to break it up because, like I said, it was so much happening, and it's just good. It feels like every episode is long in a good way. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. That's all the gushy stuff I said about it last time. So thank you guys for listening. We are recording Loki, the finale, next week Monday. We couldn't do it when we normally do it Thursdays because of Donnie's work schedule. So we couldn't do it Thursday or today, Friday. So we will be doing that next week Monday, I believe. But I will be back tomorrow with the next 2 episodes of Beyond Evil. We'll be on Clubhouse this Saturday talking about the season finale of Loki at 2 p.m. Pacific, so you can come hang out with us there. Kaylee and I will be back for the next 3 episodes of Attack on Titan from season 1 on Sunday. So there's a lot to look forward to. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next time.